having a level that actually feels fresh, has a new concept, changes the game somewhat. I mean, you can tell from my levels, hopefully, that's kind of what my focus is. I always try to do something new because, I mean, that is what matters more than anything, in my opinion. That's probably why a lot of people end up not liking my levels, because I may not be pushing something like platforming gameplay enough because I'm trying so hard to do something original.
Well, yeah, and that's to me is very clear. Like especially in your levels, it's when you did like Now and Then, it's the time travel, and then here and there it's the foreground background switching, and it's the unique mechanic. I can tell that you come up with this concept that would be something that nobody had ever seen before, or at least not done in a way that they would recognize, and built the level completely around that. And that to me is huge. Okay, and after a brief interlude with a talking phone, so really, I mean, it depends on the creator, and that's the good thing about LittleBigPlanet. It's you can pick the thing that you think is the most important, and then make a level out of it, right? Mm-hmm. Like inevitably, there's always somebody out there who says, "Oh, the most important thing is to be the most awesome, fastest speed that anybody could ever experience," and then you make it, and then you fly to the other side of the level in 0.2 seconds and squish yourself, and then you've done it.
And it was the best level ever.
yeah, exactly. And then you say, "Wow, okay, now I've done it, and it actually kind of sucked. So let me take a step back and think about what some of the other cool things are." And then, for me at least, it really made me look at other games in a different way, and you can see when you start getting into what it takes to make a good level, you can begin to see things that game manufacturers have done to cover up bad gameplay.
That's a great point, because I played the Super Mario Brothers Wii in the last few months, and that was the first time I played a game where I was comparing directly to LittleBigPlanet, just the way the platforming took place, the concepts, and thinking, "Oh wow, that's really cool how you did that," and that could happen in LittleBigPlanet. Just nobody's applied anything like that. It's just genius how they come up with all these little things for every level.
Yeah, it's the different ideas. Different concepts. The graphics don't have to be there. Good graphics. Hey, I'm all for it. But if that's all it is, then it's probably not going to be worthwhile. Now I'm saying that, and then my levels and the levels that I make, I go crazy with the stickers, and I pretty much don't put anything else in there. So that's obvious that I'm covering up the fact that I don't know how to make a platformer. I go, well, let me see. If I make an awesome TIE fighter, maybe they'll be distracted to not realize how much it sucks.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. I think your platforming and your sticker work they complement each other perfectly. I think the community might agree, considering that you've got yourself a nice bucket of hearts.
Well, yeah, I have no idea how that ended up. I after I published the Right Stuffing, I went on a cruise. And so I was, no internet for 2 weeks. So I had no idea. As far as I was concerned, everybody hated it just exactly how I thought they would. And I think I posted somewhere about, I had got internet connection for 5 minutes, and I posted, "Hey, does anybody know how well my level's doing?" And then I came back, and it was, a popular thing. What the heck? Has everybody gone insane? This level's not very good.
must have been a nice surprise.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise. So I really think that... I really think that it's because I did a level review service on game. Is it Game Facts or Game FAQs? And the thing that I would always do is how well somebody pushed a boundary. You can take. There's only so many original ideas, right? Mm-hmm. But it's how you take it and make it your own, right? That you can take a a platformer, like an action platformer, and you take somebody like Velcro Jones, for example, who takes the platforming concept and just made it just totally his own. Just boiled it down to just the pure action only. Where the only thing, there's no story, there's nothing. The only thing is it's just a flowing level with well-matched, simple materials with good corner editing, loads of bubble combos, and he just took it and just went nuts with it. So it's and he says, well, I just copy other people's style. Well, yeah, but his own style is it took something that existed and made it completely new. So, in my opinion, that's total originality. Even though it's platforming. The platforming is not new. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I actually would not think of Velcro Jones and think originality, but that's a great way of showing that it is original what he's done with it. So,
because you can definitely tell when you playing a level, you can certainly tell when it's his or when it's when he's influenced somebody on it. I'm a super fan of his stuff. I play it all the time.
Yeah.
I will move on in the smoothest segue ever to the next.
Let us right into it.
Right into it. I planned this for minutes. Our next section is create tips. This will be, again, not always specific to any one platform or even game for that matter. But for this time around, we got a couple of quick create tips for LittleBigPlanet PSP for you.
All right, well, I'm going to dive into the first tip, which is how to back up your data, and really the importance of backing up your data. On PS3, it's pretty easy. So I don't even think I need to go into it. I was amazed by how much it changed because, back when I left for China, the PS3 was a different beast. Your save data, whenever you build a level, you lose like an hour of work because it didn't save when you said to save. There was no backup or way to do it. I think it's just as hard on PSP to back up now as it was on PS3, but they've changed everything. They've streamlined everything. They don't delete your data anymore to laugh at you. It works great. But on PSP, it's not quite as pretty. And the easiest thing that everyone should be doing is making multiple copies of their levels just on different craters. Like, as you build a level, make sure to maybe have 3 or 4 different craters where you're saving different points in the building process.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is you can have issues which you can't really... you can run into a problem where you accidentally saved and something went wrong with the game and it won't load anymore, and you just lost that level if you don't have an earlier version. I've had times where I've been building a level and I've saved on 2 or 3 different craters before I realized that I couldn't load anymore. And if I'd only had 3 saves, I would have just lost it all. So, yeah, it's just important to have a number of those, and if you're only going to have 3, make sure that when you save, you try it out right away, and make sure it loads right, and then, okay, you're good. And then you can save over that one if you need to or whatever, but you know that it worked.
Right, and the thing about backing up your data is the thing that gets... So there's a couple reasons why, and you've been a really good kind of crusader on the whole back up your data. You bump my thread all the time, so thanks for that. There's a detailed thread, by the way, on LittleBigPlanet Central about how to back up your data, and I think there's you posted a version of it on LittleBigLand as well, right?
I've linked to it from the workshop from LittleBigLand. It's so important. I've seen some great creators they quit playing because of one incident. It makes sense. You lose 20 hours of work. Sure, I can see why you quit. But it's so easy. Even the more difficult thing, which is backing up your profile. You take probably 10 minutes to read through Taffy's explanation of it, and then to do it, I can do it in less than a minute now. I'm talking the computer's on, and I can just plug in the USB drive in less than a minute, get it done. So it's really not bad. I guess USB drive, the memory card. But, it's super simple. You just got to look up that thread by Taffy. You could probably search, you remember what the thread's called?
The correct profile thread.
There you go. The correct profile. And it's by Taffy, so just look for that, and it should come up right away. It's super easy to find. I'm not going to go through the steps on doing it, because, it is spelled out word for word, and I used it the first time I did it. And, it's really easy to follow, and I would highly advise doing it whenever I build a level. Not only do I have those multiple versions of a level on the craters, but I also have multiple backups. So, I would easily be able to believe that I have over 100 copies of a level once I'm done with it, just by counting the fact that I might have 10 different copies on craters. And then for every backup, I have a different version on that backup. So, yeah, lots of versions.
Yeah, there's I had enough scares that because when you lose work, you really do. It does make you want to quit. It makes you want to, even when I lose 20 minutes, I don't feel like looking at it the rest of the day. I'm just like, I'm done. I want to move on with my ideas. I don't want to go back and try to think of what I did.
So what was your worst one? Worst loss or worst thought you lost?
Well, that was the right stuffing.
Right, really?
that was the weirdest string of events. It was almost like the level was star-crossed. You know, or if that had gone poorly, I may not even still have been playing. I probably would, but I would like to think maybe that I would have quit outright just because it would have been so heartbreaking. So I went to publish. The level was done. I had like maybe another half an hour's worth of small fixes to make in the speech bubbles or something, and my profile crashed. First time ever. I didn't even know it happened. I didn't have any backups. I didn't know what to do. I remember sitting there rebooting my PSP. I did it like 10 times, just kind of like you can kind of feel like the cold sweat kind of building up. I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. I worked on it, and I worked on it, and I worked on it, and I had put so much effort into it, I just refused to give up. And I wouldn't consider myself a hacker, but I summoned the hacker gods to help me, and I channeled some of them, and I eventually figured out which files to use. I got it backed up, I got it restored, I got it working. I literally just got my profile working, and the hard drive on my laptop completely and totally physically died.
Wow, I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah, my laptop went completely out. So I have I could hear the reader arm scraping on the platen of the hard drive. I mean, it was a physical failure. It was bad. And I was holding my PSP, the last good copy of my levels anywhere. I just restored it like literally 8 minutes ago. And I'm like, my hands were shaking. I was like, oh my gosh. So I got my wife's computer and I backed it up on there. And then I got my old laptop out of the basement. I booted that up. I backed it up there. Then I went out in the garage. I have an old desktop. I backed it up there. I was just going crazy. I was like, I cannot, whatever's going on, I can't lose it.
Wow.
And then
it sounds like that level wasn't meant to be, man. Maybe you shouldn't have published.
Oh, man. And then, well, you know what? And then I typed up the corrupt profile post, which that took me probably about 2 hours, and I hit the back button and lost the whole thing. I was like, what the heck is going on? What did I do? Did I like run over an old lady in the street and I didn't realize it or something? Man. So that was it was close enough to a super catastrophic loss that that's as close as I need to get. That was just horrifying. I don't even like to think about what it would have been like. So I don't ever want to be in that position again. So back.
I'm glad I brought it up so you could tell everyone about it and experience it again.
Oh my gosh! But you know what? The whole backing up thing, it's just good practice. Like, you know, when you get a job and you're working on a document and you're working on it all day, and you make a backup because Microsoft products crash, IBM products crash. Apple product, they just die, and you'll lose your whole day's worth of work. And there could be a deadline, and if you could be up all night redoing your work. So just if you get in the habit of making copies of stuff, that like it applies to real life as well. So, real life imitating games, imitating real life. All right. Well, I think what we're going to go ahead and do for this first ever episode of Pocket Moon Podcast, since we're going so far over our time that we really have no idea what we're doing, we're going to go ahead and split this into 2 parts.
Woohoo!
So we're gonna cut this one mercifully short and make this a 2-parter. So thanks everybody for listening. And if you have feedback on the podcast, we'd love to hear it. We're new at this, so we'd like to know what you think and what you think we can improve and talk more about, talk less about.
Yeah, don't be too harsh though.
Don't be too harsh. We didn't say blows me away that many times. Yeah. So can't really fault it for that one. So with that, I'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Thanks, and hope you enjoyed it. And we'll post up part 2 for this podcast pretty shortly.
See ya.
Take it easy.